The NBA is full of rising stars, maybe now more than ever. Mostly every single team has one guy that makes them look like their team's in good hands for the future. A player that is 25 years old or under, which is what they must be to make the video. But each team has a player like this that either looks like they'll be a star down the line or already is one. So we're looking at the best rising star from every NBA team, and let's go. For the Miami Heat, it's without a doubt that Bam Adebayo has developed into one of the better big men in the league. He always had potential from the start, and it's been great to see him show so much of it so early on. He excels at pretty much everything on the floor, and even though he can't stretch out to the three, his mid-range game helps make up for that. Now, if Bam is ever able to develop a three-point shot, that would really take things to the next level for himself and the Miami Heat. For the Milwaukee Bucks, for years their rising star 25 or under was Giannis, but now he's 27, and for a couple years he's been a flat-out superstar. So now they don't have a rising star on the team anymore. I mean, Grayson Allen and Bobby Portis, or their two youngest starters are 26, but that's what happens when you're a top team in the NBA contending for a title. The Celtics are the complete opposite because both of their top two players are rising stars in Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Tatum's the better overall player, and at only 23 years old, he's already progressed a lot more at this age than I thought he would have. And it's weird to think that at only 23, he's just getting started. For the 76ers, Tyrese Max is the guy, and he's only in year 2 and has taken on the responsibility of being the go-to point guard of the top seeded 76ers flawlessly. He works great on the team, and I think if he can become a little bit more of a traditional point guard over the next few years, he can definitely take things to an all-star level before too long. For the Bulls, it's weird to say that Lonzo Ball is still only 24 years old and able to make this cut, but he is and takes this one for Chicago. Guys like Patrick Williams and Kobe White were considered, but they aren't on Lonzo's level right now. Coming into the league, all he really had was his defense, but his game's developed a lot over the years. He's now a great shooter, solid passer, and decision maker, and still has the defense. Even though he's expected to be what LaMelo Ball is today, at least he made the NBA. And the Toronto Raptors, they're full of young up-and-coming talent, but their best rising star has got to be Scottie Barnes. I love Gary Trent and Anunoby's game, but it took OG 3 or 4 years to get to the level Scottie's at now in his rookie season, and because of that, it's clear his ceiling is much higher, which is why he won the Rookie of the Year award. He probably shouldn't have, but he did, and I think there's some exciting times ahead for the Toronto Raptors. For the Cavs, it's really hard to pick here because there's so many options. Between the top 3 of Jarrett Allen, Darius Garland, and Evan Mobley, it's a tough choice. I'll say though that I think Mobley has the most potential on the team, but if we're talking the best right now, I'd give the slight edge to Darius Garland, just for the fact that for the most of the year, he's been the only go-to guy in the backcourt due to injuries and everything, while in Jarrett Allen's case, they have a lot of big men and other defenders on the team, but Darius has been the main ball handler and scorer all year long. The Brooklyn Nets, they don't have anyone. Bruce Brown's their only notable player 25 or under, and he's just a role player. Charlotte Hornets is another team full of young talent, but of course, LaMelo Ball is leading the way in terms of young stars. He's still only 20 years old and was a first-time All-Star this year. And not only is he the best rising star on the Hornets, but one of the best in the entire league. As a 6'8" point guard, he's the main difference maker that has led the way in turning the Charlotte Hornets team from one of the biggest laughingstocks of the NBA to one of the most must-watch teams there is. For the Atlanta Hawks, with as good as Trae's been playing all year long, it's still hard to believe that he's only 23, that he could get any better, and then the Hawks didn't have a better record than they did this year, sitting in the 10th seed and just barely made the play-in. I think what's next for Trae these next few years, even though he's a top 3 rising star in the league, he's got to learn how to win games, and I think he's got to be a little better at playing off the ball. With the New York Knicks, I still see a lot of potential in Cam Reddish, but there's no arguing that RJ Barrett is still without a doubt the better rising star, and given the fact that he's 1 year younger and averaging over 20 points a game right now, it definitely goes to him. And it seems like every year RJ just keeps getting better, and every year he shows more and more signs that his game's only going to keep heading in that direction. Even with Julius Randle on the team, Barrett's slowly becoming the face of the franchise. Washington Wizards have a lot of guys that wind up right outside the eligibility for this video because they're 26, guys like Kyle Kuzma and Porzingis. As for eligible players, they really only have Deni Avdija and Rui Hachimura, two guys that at the time they were drafted were thought to be the Wizards' future. Well, now they've lost all their steam, so no real rising stars for the Wizards. Obviously, with the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton is their #1 rising star. The Kings gave their rising star to the Pacers, and now he's averaging career highs across the board. And he's one of the best rising stars in the NBA that isn't quite a star yet, but still has the potential to be one. And with him averaging 17 and 10 for the Pacers so far, it's a great sign towards that. The Pistons don't usually ever wind up with any luck, but the fact that they landed Cade Cunningham has been huge. I see some of Luka and LaMelo's game in Cade's, and even though he had a slow start to his career, ever since then he's been dominant at times and extremely consistent when not. And the sky's the limit for how good he can be given what we've seen so far. Over in Orlando, Franz Wagner's caught a lot of people off guard this year. Not many people really expected him to be this good this soon, but only as a rookie he's breathed new fresh air into the Magic. As a 20-year-old forward, putting up some of the best numbers on the team, and even though they still aren't winning, it was exactly what they needed from the draft this year. And alright, it's pretty weird that Devin Booker still qualifies to be the Suns' best rising star, but he's still 25 for a few more months, and nothing really needs to be said about him except the fact that it's crazy to think that this man's just getting started. Pretty soon he's going to be getting into his prime, and after averaging 26 a game the past 4 years and a finals run, personally I can't wait to see what the future holds for Devin Booker. Most of the Memphis Grizzlies team is 25 and under, which makes them almost the youngest team in the NBA, but of course their best rising star is Ja Morant, who's without a doubt this year's most improved player. He came out of nowhere this year, putting up better numbers across the board and jumping from 19 points a game to 28 a game. With a lot of stars, it is usually that second or third year that really sees them taking that jump to the next level. But even so, I didn't expect it from Ja this season. But with the Dallas Mavericks, that's what happened to Luka. He had a dominant rookie season, but in year 2 he came out of nowhere and put up 29, 9, and 8. For a lot of players, it just takes 1 or 2 years to get used to things before they're ready to be a star. And given the fact that Doncic has kept up that pace ever since his second year in the league, is why he's the biggest and best rising star in the NBA today. For the Warriors, it's interesting. In the future, Kuminga, Moody, or Wiseman could take this one, but for now, of course, it has to go to Jordan Poole. Golden State did it again with him and scouted another great player and got him later in the draft. And he's going to be a star one day, especially considering how great he's been in only year 3. Another hard to believe rising star is the fact that Utah Jazz's Donovan Mitchell is still also only 25 years old. And it's because he's been helping his team dominate in the regular season for years since coming into the league, and he personally still just continues to get better every season. I think if nothing happens this year, maybe they should trade some players, but I see another big jump in Mitchell's productivity coming in the next couple seasons. For the Nuggets, Michael Porter Jr. might have taken their spot last year, but given the circumstances, Jamal Murray still is without a doubt deserving of this spot. For the Timberwolves, you gotta love Anthony Edwards' game, and I'm thinking that year 3 for him next year is gonna be a huge one. I mean, after seeing him develop into a star in the postseason, I think now it's no question. And he's gonna go back to the regular season next year, and it's gonna be a lot easier for him. The Clippers, on the other hand, I mean, they don't have much. Luke Kennard, Terrence Mann, and Zubac are their only notable players 25 and under, and I see all of them as role players now and in the future. Of course, the Pelicans' best rising star without question should be Zion Williamson, but for all we know, his career might be over. So that of course means Brandon Ingram still takes this one, and even though he's lost a lot of steam since Zion came in, he's managed to continuously play well. Over in San Antonio, I've loved DeJounte Murray's game over the past few years, and to only see him develop and get better every season. Early on, I didn't see him ever getting too much better offensively, but now that he's averaged 21 a game and made the All-Star team, I think the possibilities are endless. For the Lakers, their rising star is, or well, was supposed to be Talen Horton-Tucker. Over in Sacramento, if I'm deciding between De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis on who the better rising star is, we have to think about their futures. And I don't really see De'Aaron having a crazy year where he dramatically gets better. I think it would have happened by now. But I think all Domantas needs to do is to start taking more threes to up his game, similar to what Nikola Vucevic did later in his career. The Portland Trailblazers really only have one rising star in Anthony Simons, and whether they had someone else or not, Simons would still probably take their spot because of how good he is. The only problem the Blazers have is that he's also a point guard coming off the bench behind Lillard. So if he keeps getting better and better, he's going to want to leave the team so he can start somewhere else. The OKC Thunder are the youngest team in the NBA, and they have a few rising stars. Josh Giddey's going to be great. Ludwig Dort has the potential to be the best on the team if he keeps progressing on offense, but of course Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the team's best rising star currently, averaging 24, 5, and 5 right now at only 23 years old. All I know is this OKC team is going to be scary in a few years. And for the Rockets, Jalen Green has really started to show out recently. He's still got a long way to go before he becomes any type of star, but he has shown glimpses of potential. Still got a lot of work left to do, but given the fact that he's only 19, I think he'll do just fine. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'm out.